Sorry. It's okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're back. Back-to-back episodes.
Back to back. Yes.
Today we're covering Flight of the Falcon from Devil Worlds. It's a very short comic. Not too much here. It's probably the first comic that I could say is definitely outside the continuity. I don't think there's any way of reconciling this other than saying it's a tall tale, a fable, something within the expanded universe that didn't really happen, but maybe something attributable to Han Solo. So the backstory here is there's this corporation, and I forget exactly what they call it. This engineering, Millennium Engineering Corporation, and they're doing work for the Empire. So they find that the Empire's fighters are constantly getting outrun by other starships they encounter, other freighters, and they go to this corporation to ask them to provide ships that have better capabilities. And they have the prototypes for what they call the Millennium Falcon, which hilariously is its own class of ship. We know the backstory of the YT-1300. I don't think it's established at this point in the expanded universe. Back in 1982, maybe the toy had some lore on the back of the box. I don't know. But within this corporation, there's this rebel spy, this lady with the glasses. I have a lot of characters with eyeglasses lately in these last couple comics.
That looks like a normal, like, everyday Joe, though. It doesn't even look like a Star Wars Joe.
Yeah. She's the secretary, the office secretary, and is spying on the intel, the high-level schematics of this starfighter, and alerts the rebels who they hire Han Solo. Well, she passes off the information to Han Solo, and they end up stealing that from the Empire. And that's how Han's ship is called the Millennium Falcon. It's like one of a kind in this specific comic. It's a good story, but there's no way to reconcile it to the rest of the EU. What do you guys think?
I would agree. I like that mask right there. That's a pretty cool mask.
Yes.
I don't have any use for this story outside of just, oh, that was neat.
Same.
It's like Star Wars. Well, to be fair, I was about to say it's Star Wars Tales tier. That's rude. That's a terrible thing to say about somebody. It's like if it was in Star Wars Tales, it would be like the third best one.
Yeah, it's definitely better than your typical Star Wars Tales story.
Yeah.
I don't mind it at all. It's just it doesn't reconcile with anything that you know about the modern expanded universe here.
No, it doesn't. It also doesn't. I don't like it as the origin for the Falcon either. It also doesn't line up with the movie because where's Lando? How's Lando involved in this? So it doesn't line up with anything. It's fun. It's a cute story. I like the art. It looks really nice. I don't know why the lady is wearing glasses. Again, that's a weird one. But you know.
Yeah, the aliens are pretty cool.
Oh, the aliens
are pretty neat.
I like the aliens.
So this story was in black and white originally, right?
Yes.
Recolored for Devil Worlds.
Yes.
So I didn't know this. Apparently the colorist is Laura Allred.
Oh.
What is the lore on Laura? Oh,
well, she's the wife of a very famous artist, Mike Allred.
Who was Michael? Was he contributed?
He is the creator of Madman, and he's done like he's mostly cover artist now, but he's done like he did Silver Surfer with Dan Slott. He did I think he did the first issue of Solo back in 2005. Solo was a book where the artist did everything. So they did the art, writing, lettering, coloring, inking, letters. They did everything.
Is this Lando? This looks like Lando.
It could be.
But that
could be. It could be, but that could also just be like her be going, "Where's Lando?" Here, this guy looks enough like Lando.
I assumed that was Lando Calrissian, and that is the reason why it's his ship initially until he loses it into a sabacc in this alternate
Sure.
version of
I
the
suppose
UK Marvel Comics world of the origin of the Millennium Falcon.
Sure,
But-
I could believe that. I suppose.
Maybe this story is a couple of idiots in a cantina going, "Oh, look, there's Han Solo. So where do you think he got the Millennium Falcon from?"
Maybe this is
Well-
the story Han tells women when they ask about the ship. It's like we stole it. We stole it under the cover of darkness. You know, I tricked the imps into going for this bogus story.
Maybe it's the story that both
and
Lando
he throws in Lando at the end, be like, "Oh yeah, and my buddy Lando was there too, I guess."
Also, this lizard guy and this guy with the big eyes and ears commenting on this woman here, they're looking over here. So
No, he's looking toward the one. He's got
I know.
eyes on both sides of his head.
Yeah,
I like how he
I
I
know.
like how he says "woof." That's pretty funny, even though he's a lizard.
Yeah.
I know. I just find it funny that it looks a bit like they're looking.
Yeah,
Off
it looks like
panels.
Well, we gotta-
they're seeing some,
we got a
seeing
sneak
some-
peek Vulcan right there. You got a guy with
Oh,
hair and a
yeah.
little pointy ears.
He could also be like a wolf man or whatever.
He could be, but I can't see his face, so I would assume he's a Vulcan in this, this not real story.
We've had, we've had Vulcans, we've had Tamaranians. Can we have anybody else from other like sci-fi properties?
But I've never heard of Millennium Astro Engineering Plant ever anywhere else in the Guide to Technology and the Guide to Starships. So I think this is complete bogus. Not a bad story, but
The only
Not-
thing, maybe, is there anything like even alluding to something like this in the Millennium Falcon novel? I've never read that one.
No.
So
no,
that's okay.
no, not that I can think of. I know in the TIE Fighter video game, you track down a lot of smugglers. Sometimes there's a lot of missions on scanning fast moving ships. And I know from playing the game initially, especially if you play it like without any cheat codes or anything, chasing down the YT-1300 freighter and disabling them is very difficult because they're so fast and they're so small because they have like a very linear profile, very small profile to actually shoot it and disable it. So I remember that giving me headaches back in the day playing that game. So I can see how the Empire would be frustrated with that type of scenario.
But I don't understand how the Empire. I don't understand why the Empire would make a freighter like that for this purpose. Because that's the other thing that got me when I was reading this. It was like the Empire commissioned this freighter. Why?
So I guess it's because their starfighters aren't fast enough to do certain intercept missions,
But
and they need something else.
Wouldn't you want a starfighter then? Because
You'd want a starfighter, but I guess you'd want something also with more power. And hey, by the way, this is a freighter engineering like design company. We design freighters. Why not just add some cargo space? That's what I got out of it, but maybe that's all in my head.
It's hard to argue over the story when it's just like it's like you're saying, well, in Act 2, James said the grass is green or something, when in Act 1 James died. It's like this doesn't make any sense. This is not of any importance to the canon, so it's not
right.
And if they get these new ships, then okay, great. What the hell are we going to do with all these ties that we have stockpiled?
Well, I don't think the idea is to not use the ties, but use this in addition to if the mission parameters call for it.
Well, gentlemen, is there anything else we have on this?
I am curious whether anyone has, taken this ship design and used it for something.
That would be an Empire War question. I don't know any of those.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before. It doesn't look familiar to me.
It's a cool ship design though.
But it's possible, I suppose. You're asking the wrong person.
Wrong crowd. First
we
ghost
don't.
fishing. You know.
My
So this story's-
expertise doesn't cover that.
So this story is written by Steve Parkhouse, and I'm not familiar with him, but he's done a lot of Doctor Who comics and some stuff for 2000 AD.
We need Christopher Nelson even now. He's got all the Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah, I don't. Anybody who's not Simon Furman or Alan Moore from Marvel UK is like, don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
And I guess we can move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Blind Fury.
the last Devil World.
I will say this:
Never to be touched again after this.
I will say this: it is always nice to see a war profiteer get his comeuppance.
That is true. That is nice.
Yeah.
He probably couldn't say no to the Empire, though. He does say war is good for business. He's making all this money. And then the rebels end up taking out the facility at the end after they steal the ship. But, you know, did he have a choice?
His name is Zoltan Starkid.
Mm-hmm.
That's a style.
Cool name. Cool name.
It's always a choice.
I like Zoltan. I don't know about Star Kid. Reminds me of
Just life is
Ship
more
Kid.
important.
Very Star Wars-y name.
It is.
It checks. So the second story we're covering today, Devil Worlds, Blind Fury, also by Alan Moore, July 1982. This is a Luke Skywalker story. He encounters a distress call on Garn, and it's a jarbled transmission, so he doesn't really know what he's in for. Once he gets there, there's a whole bunch of monsters, as we see on the cover there. And he gets to a building, and it has in it one guy. It's Roar High Sharman of the Terrible Glare, and he was an adversary of the Jedi Knights way back in the day, like thousands of years ago. And he uses this computer to like keep himself alive, I guess. I'm not really clear if he is like totally alive, but he gets upset when Luke tells him the Jedi are no more. Like his whole being, his reason for existence was to get revenge on the Jedi. And now that the Jedi are extinct, he can't have his revenge, and he kind of goes crazy. And that's really the end of the story. So there's not much here. What do you guys think about this one?
I like this one. I really like that opening panel. Yeah, that right there. That's probably my favorite image from the Devil Worlds, from all the Devil Worlds. I like the guy hanging off of Luke. Looks like he's very drunk, trying to tell Luke a story that Luke did not want to hear. Which, you know, I think that's a universal human experience, I think. But no, I like all these little creatures, I like all these little guys. Unfortunately, the story is not about all these little creatures or all these little guys. It's about one dude in a pyramid who has not been keeping up with his calendar. That said, you know, as like a weird Twilight Zone sort of Tales from the Crypt Star Wars experience, that's neat. Again, it's if this was a Star Wars Tales, it would be like top 3 Tales.
I like the creepiness of this story.
Yeah.
I agree.
There's a lot of really good uses of shadows and darkness. Here, go another couple pages, Robert. Keep going.
I was going to point out one thing real quick. When he goes through the building and he passes by a room full of skeletons of Jedi Knights, the remains of Jedi Knights, or what appears to be, they look like Sith Lords from Tales of the Jedi. You know, they have the same horns and same armor. So I wonder if there was any inspiration, you know, by Tom Veitch or Kevin J. Anderson or anybody associated with that project to depict the Sith Lords with this sort of armor, that sort of clothing and equipment.
It's not impossible.
Honestly, I don't think the story of itself is anything that special, but I do love, and I've said this before, but I like when Star Wars can open up and make the imagination go. Like I could see a story, like another comic or short story set in like the Tales of Jedi era, where like maybe there's a reason why these Jedi are wearing Sith costumes. Maybe they were fighting the Sith. They had to use this armor for some reason, and they ended up confronting this guy who's not a Sith. I'm assuming he's not a Sith anyway, and you know, gets killed by them. And I see something here that could be really cool in the future story, because there's a lot of tension. But
I like the fact that this story hints at a bit of ancient history, that this conflict that took place thousands of years ago between the Jedi Knights and the Order of the Terrible Glare, which, as we know, Joe picked that up and ran with it, with cult encounters and supernatural encounters.
Yes.
It's definitely
associated with a cult.
It's definitely a dark side wielding group.
Dark side user.
And I like his design. I mean, he's scary looking. I
kind of
also
looks
like,
like a zombie, like his brain's like hanging out.
yeah, the thing he's in, the little pyramid, that's very reminiscent of the Sith holocron. And also, when Luke passes by those spirits that are trapped in the orbs, I immediately thought about the Valley of the Jedi, Rusan, kind of same concept there.
That's interesting. Robert,
So
scroll
I
up a little
think
bit. Go back and scroll up a little bit. There, that third, the panel on the right, that one. I like that. Look at that. Look at the eyes. Look at that is that I want. That is what I want from a Star Wars horror story. Is like just the eyes in the darkness looking at Luke, or you know, whatever lightsaber protagonist we have, and then him going through the catacombs. Like you guys say, we're not told the history. We just see the aftermath. We see the armor. We see like the statues of these horrible creatures that Luke doesn't even recognize. We see the souls in the bottles. That is, in terms of Star Wars horror stories, I actually think this is. The problem is it's too short, so it can't be better than Death Troopers. But this is really up there. This is like, if this was a full developed issue, this could be as good or better than Death Troopers, just from the concept. Unfortunately, Death Troopers just has more depth to it.
Right.
It's also more scientific Death Troopers in this one. Like
this
logical scientific explanation for why the horrors are.
This is like more supernatural, like spooky.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good concept. I like the whole planet, Garm, and how it's abandoned, very creepy, a bunch of bodies.
I always love
monsters
like abandoned stuff in different media, whether it be like fantasy or sci-fi. I like.
How much do you love going to Korriban on KOTOR and just like
love doing that?
It's
I do. I love that stuff.
Two, especially. One, you know, there's like guys walking around doing like archaeology or whatever. But two, it's just empty. It's just as far as the eye can see, except for the
That's one of my favorite things about like Bethesda games, whether it be like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, is like finding like these old abandoned buildings and just going through the rubble and seeing like sometimes they got notes and I could actually learn like the history of this place. Sometimes they don't. And I just gotta make it up, you know, like there's like two skeletons hugging, and I'm like, what happened there? I don't know. I mean, you know, they must have been embracing one last time before they passed away. I don't know. I have to make it up for myself, but sometimes I really like that in stories and stuff. So I like that here. Like it gives you enough to like ponder, but not enough that you have an explanation. So you just kind of make it up in your own head. So
I really like the way it describes Garn. Diseased and bloated trees pierced the yellow fog, heavy with gaudy and lethal fungus. And the way it describes the tower as jutting like a cancerous talon from the dismal landscape.
There's some good writing in this. This is probably one of my favorite Alan Moore Star Wars thing. I mean, we just have the Devil Rolls thing, but like in terms of his writing, it's this and maybe the droid graveyard. I think both of those had some pretty good like writing, just pure writing. So
yeah, no, I think I really like this one. Even though it's very short and there's not like a lot of there.
As for what's going on with Roa, I think Luke says that he's transferred his personality into a computer, but as we see, his body is still there. So what I think is happening is his I think his actual body is dead, but preserved in this sort of glass pyramid thing. And
Yeah.
That's right. They say
And the computer is-
his mind somehow
Yes.
survived all that. His body's still entrapped there, but obviously dead.
and I
you know.
think the computer is sort of the computer that houses his mind is sort of speaking through his corpse.
Yeah,
Right.
it's actually spooky.
I like
Then
that.
it explodes at the end once he gets revelation that the Jedi Knights
Suicide
are
bombs.
no more.
And then Luke is like, "There's a lesson in here somewhere. I don't know what it is." Which that's a very Luke statement. I hate to say.
Weird thing to go back and tell Leia and Lando, though. I'll tell you what, and Chewbacca.
I don't.
They won't
How do you
believe
guys
me.
feel about the line where Luke is like, "Oh yeah, Obi-Wan told me about this super obscure war between the Jedi and the." I guess we wouldn't know at the time. Oh, it's super obscure, but like now, 40 years later, we're like, that's a really weird one to bring up on the Millennium Falcon on the way to Alderaan. I would not. That's what I would talk about, like Mace Windu or something. I'd be like, "Yeah, my good buddy Mace or something." I don't know.
Maybe he was talking to him in his home when he's there, and he gives him his father's lightsaber.
Maybe.
I don't know that it necessarily even has to happen during A New Hope. I mean, we've got stories like Luke Skywalker's Walkabout, where they, where he encounters Obi-Wan as a child.
Yes.
I suppose. Still, that is it's a weird one. It's a weird one for Obi-Wan to be like, "Oh, there's."
It is.
It's a very odd, especially when nobody acknowledges the Order of the Terrible Glare after this. But that's a very minor point. That's basically just nitpicking.
Oh, interesting. I don't read canon, but Uz says Roar was brought back in the canon Dr. Aphra comics.
That's interesting.
Yes,
Max
that's
is
true.
better than me. She's a big Dr. Aphra comic fan, so I wouldn't know.
I want to
that's
read those
cool,
at some point, but I'm not looking for those omnibuses now. They're too expensive. I'm gonna wait till they come out. Come out like this.
Yeah. And read
Yeah.
comics online diet, so you can't pirate it.
I've read some of the Dr. Aphra comics, and that would fit. So
Actually, it's not dead. It was just down for a bit. It's back now.
Oh, good to know.
Probably maintenance or something.
So what are we giving this story? We give out one of these.
I guess it's
What are
fine.
these?
It's fine. It's just
It's
it has no relevance to anything else.
Fair
What
enough.
do we think of this pig squid thing?
Oh, I
Big
like him.
squid.
I wish the story was
Like
about
the
him,
pink
to
squid.
be honest. He's probably smarter. Yeah, look at that.
I like and this story does it twice. The progression from this panel to this one, and then on this page, this panel to this one.
I was a bit confused about that opening where he's training in the X-wing.
I guess.
Yeah,
so.
that is
That didn't make any sense.
that. Yeah, that
His
doesn't make
his,
sense.
his
It
X-wing
looks like the Falcon.
was on autopilot, and he was on the ground training. That's what I
Okay.
interpret.
Well, he says, it says here, he'd been practicing when the emergency beeper sounded, his X-Wing flying on automatic.
There's no way. An X-wing's not that big. There's no way. No. Unless it's like a TARDIS, or it's bigger on the inside. There's no
It's like
way. It's-
Training in his mind. That's like going to the gym in your head, but not really, right?
That's
very
every
weird.
time I read a book, that's what I'm doing. I'm hitting the gyms and getting the heaviest weights. You guys, you just can't see. It's like invisible muscles. You just can't see it.
This
It's
is
there,
this is the heaviest weight that I. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Supernatural encounter. She's
Anyway,
That's
That's
this. That's the Star Wars. That's Marvel.
he's got a sweatband thing going on. I
Yeah.
don't know.
like
I don't-
Vegeta.
Yeah.
I
Dragon
think
Ball Z.
I think we're running out of. I think we're running
They
out.
are.
Of,
Yeah, I think we can move
all
on now.
So
The power gem.
Power Gem is Archie Goodwin, Al Williamson. This is LA Times Comics, July 26th through October 3rd, 1982. It starts out on Yavin, and they're analyzing the Superstar Destroyer Executor that's going to be online. There were a couple adventures previously with Luke where he tried to sabotage the construction effort and perhaps delayed it a little bit. But at this point, they're figuring out, okay, how can we exploit a weakness in this ship just like we did on the Death Star? So they're analyzing its shields, and there's this thing that comes up. There's sort of like a tall tale legend about something called the power gem, or power gems, they're plural. And they were used by smugglers at some point in the Old Republic to stop the shielding of ships so that they could plunder them. And the pirates eventually got wiped out by the Jedi Knights, and the power gems were lost. And we don't really even know at this point. Han's pretty skeptical if they even existed in the first place. But he goes to Junk Fort Station to try to get a lead on where they might exist, if any are left. And he eventually goes to another planet called Antipose, Antipose. And there he meets two people, Raskar, and then there's another lady with like a targeting system, Mistra. And there's what's going on that planet are like gladiator battles.
Yeah.
And
Raskar's making a lot of money off it, and he's offered up the power gem as a prize.
Right. So the power gem is the big prize for anyone who wins the tournament, the prize fight. And he's launching these illegal like gambling operations on it, and no one's really ever winning. So he's keeping one power gem, which only has a little bit of power left, as the prize. He hasn't given it away yet. Han sees it, like he shows it to Han, and realizes it does have some power left, but he surmises by looking at it and actually picking it up that it's on its last leg, and he actually enters Chewbacca into the gladiator fight on his behalf. So Raskar is very interested in taking in Han's bounty to Jabba the Hutt, now that he kind of caught him on the planet and he knows the operations going on there. He can't just let him leave. So Chewbacca enters into the fight, and he picks a fight with the champion, like the best prize fighter that he has there. And there's this long sort of drawn out fight where Han sneaks in, tries to take the power gem and then get out. And once he finds out it doesn't have any power left, he threatens to tell everybody on the planet about this operation, how it's all a scam, and Raskar would get killed by everybody in the tournament that would be disappointed that there's no real power gem, or it doesn't have that much power left. So eventually he just takes it, and he gets off planet, and theoretically they use it against the Executor to lower the shields at some point.
Yeah, he goes, if you declare Chewbacca the winner, then we'll keep your secret, and you won't have to worry about being on the receiving end of an angry mob who wanted to use this thing over and over to
plunder
make a lot
ships
of money from
which was basically the original purpose of the power gem back in the Old Republic. They wanted to kind of use it for the same purpose. Wouldn't be much use of that because it only has a limited power left.
And this guy used to be a pirate, and Han even says, well, why do you even want to get rid of it then? And he makes up some excuse or other about being done with it and wanting to settle down. But
it mentions he was the last of the original pirates that got wiped out by the Jedi. So theoretically, he's a little bit older and can't do pirating anymore. That's why he just runs this illegal operation on this planet, and that's all he does. Just becomes rich off that.
Also, Han entering Chewbacca in this gladiatorial competition, Chewie puts up with a lot.
Yeah, that wasn't very fair. Like Han he was caught, man. Like Raskar was gonna claim him, turn him into Jabba the Hutt, as a bounty. And he's like, well, just put Chewbacca in this gladiator fight, and he got out of it that way. But man, Chewbacca taking one for the team there.
Although Han does at least say, "Don't worry, you're never going to have to set foot in that arena. We're going to just walk straight up to this guy who is the main contender and just pick a fight with him."
He's not going to fight in the gladiator arena, but he's going to fight in the street. So,
yes.
Same thing.
And while you've got everyone's attention, I'm just going to break into Raskar's place and steal the gem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like Mistra. She's a cool character, kind of as this like targeting computer apparatus, a wrist blaster, similar to Boba Fett. There's some cool characters here, but there's not much. I found the plot to be a little bit convoluted.
It was nice to have a Han story. I didn't.
Her cyber vision thing, is that the same thing that Baron Tag had?
I think so. Seems like it.
I think that's a fair connection to make.
She didn't have a lightsaber though. She had a blaster, and she was really quick on the draw because she was like, Han, pull out your blaster, see what happens, and she just shoots Han's blaster right out of his hand.
Yeah.
She says, "You're lucky it was on low power or something." So,
yeah, they can take on Boba Fett. I believe in them.
It's strange that these characters don't show up later. Like they're so overpowered, at least here in the comics, and that's the last you hear about them. They're never heard from again.
A lot of the A New Hope to Jedi era is a little bit memory hold. A lot of
Well, it was S-canon for so long, no one wanted to.
Crimson Jack, my good buddy, who doesn't wear pants.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these
who operates on the philosophy of it's my ship, I can do what I want.
Yeah. This.
To be fair, it is his ship. So.
It is his ship. Good old, what's her name?
If Ahsoka can wear what she wears, surely Crimson Jack can be allowed to wear what he wears. Okay.
I do like this character's design. I don't really have. That's about the strongest opinion I have on this story. Is she looks pretty cool. And she's all right as a character.
I agree to this.
I do find it a bit funny that they're trying to decide what to do about Vader's new flagship, and Leia goes, "Of course, power gems." That seems like
really
a very
reaching for the bottom of the barrel in terms of ideas. I got flashbacks to the Marvel series with the Great Life Jewels with the Crimson Forever thing. I was like, well, is that any relation to what Luke had?
It does feel like a very Marvel concept.
The pre-Zon, not to put too fine a point on. Well, not even Zon. The pre-West End Games material feels like just a completely different version of Star Wars, just almost unrecognizable for the most part.
The Wild West. It's before it had.
It's very much the Wild West, and I said Zone, but I think it's more West End Games that starts to introduce more of a story.
I think before West End Games, you really only have the movies to go off of, right? And so beyond that, it's kind of like free game to kind of do whatever you think that would be cool to put in there. It was kind of cool that in this era you have basically, it is a sandbox moving forward 90s onward, but you have it is a sandbox, but we have toys in the sandbox. You're going to use the toys in there. You can change it.
There's also expectations for what the stories are going to look like. So there's not all these Star Trek sort of like, we go to this planet and we meet the people of hats and they all wear hats.
Era, it's less structured. So you're just like, it's Star Wars. What is Star Wars when it's not the movies? Let's try something. So, and I think it's kind of cool, the creativity sometimes to get something really cool. Like Devil Worlds, for all its faults, it's really unique.
It's interesting.
Sometimes you get stuff that's maybe not unique, but also not that inspired, kind of like this. they're just kind of bored, you know.
I mean, in terms of like, this is a Star. Here's your Star Wars story. Like, that's fine. Like, this is every other Star Wars thing ever. But in terms of like, oh yeah, I really want to revisit this. I can't wait to integrate this into the canon. I can't wait to look at this in the context of the expanded universe. It's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Why it's S canon. So,
yeah.
or was for a long time.
Was the newspaper strips? Was that S canon, or was it just the Marvel? Was it all?
I think
to the extent it was printed in early adventures, it was put into C canon. The rest of it was brought in later as it was reprinted, because it was very hard to find all the originals. Like, some people had scans of the original newspaper strips, and that's how you read the comics that weren't reprinted up until the point where everything was reprinted.
But
so one thing I really like about the EU is that even if, we're not all that enthusiastic about, say, classic Star Wars, or
there is a fan base for it,
or certain bits of Devil World, even if it's not a thing that you love, there are people who do, and who are prepared to take these forgotten bits of the universe and do things with them that make you go, oh, that's really cool.
Like Joe Bongiorno.
Yes.
Like, half of these things, I know the first time around I read all these, it was in one eyeball and out the other. I couldn't remember it after I discussed it on my channel. And then, Joe would put stuff in his book. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Only realized, oh, that already existed. He didn't create that. It was from something. He just made it something worth something,
Yes.
Or he already thought it was a worthy value. I'm just saying. For someone that didn't care about it, it made me care about it. So.
Yes. It's nice when people are able to take these things and you're able to sort of see through their eyes, understand why they feel about them the way they do.
And I do think that's the beauty of the expanded universe. I mean, everybody's got their niches and their favorite things. I hear time and time again, people on this on my very stream right now and elsewhere, how much people hate or are okay with the Republic Commando books. But you have people that are like, Mandalorians, I'm in it. It's my favorite thing ever, and that's great for them. I'm happy for them. I like Mandalorians. I don't love them. I don't need them in every story, but some people are really into them, and that's great. Some people are really into these Marvel comics, and that's like, there's a space for everyone. You don't have to like all of the expanded universe. There's something there for you though if you want it. If you don't like this, you got Tales of the Jedi. You got stuff, after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it's definitely a product of its time. I think if you were familiar and following it at the time it came out, or even at the time it was reprinted in the 90s in early adventures, when there wasn't that many other alternatives, you had Tales of the Jedi, you had Dark Empire, that was it really in the original Marvel comics. So I can understand it being a big deal at that particular point in time, but if you read it now, when everything's over and done with and you have all these comics to choose from, why would you choose that? I can see that being kind of a drag, something you might want to skip over. But
at the same time, there's not a lot of options for Han, Luke, and Leia like comics.
Yeah.
You have the Marvel, you have the newspaper strips.
I don't want to make it sound like it's just nostalgia, because I understand at least a lot of people on this panel were not like the biggest fans of the earlier Marvel stuff. I'm sure there's a kid who could pick up, I don't know why they would out of everything they could, but if they were to pick up a comic of the original Marvel Star Wars one, I'm sure there's a kid out there that would be entirely inspired to be like, oh, this is great. I'm not discounting that someone new could read it and really enjoy it. There's a thing for everyone. So I don't want to make it sound like it's just people with nostalgia that like those old comics.
I don't mean in general. I mean this story in particular. I think there
Oh,
are
yeah.
good LA Times newspaper strips comic individually, but most of them, I would say, not very good.
I think the next one we're going to cover is better. Not like by
Iceworld.
leaps and bounds, but it's better. It's it's Luke trying to survive in the environment, and
Yeah. So the next one up is called Iceworld. It's also by Archie Goodwin, Al Williamson. This ran in LA Times from October 4th through November 14th, 1982. So not that far away from the release of Return of the Jedi in 1983. In fact, at the very end of this comic, at least in the IDW printing, there's this teaser for, it says, beginning tomorrow, a special new adventure introducing Admiral Akbar, soon to be featured in the next film of the Star Wars saga, Revenge of the Jedi, which is pretty cool. I like
nice.
I have a different
issue of Class. Yeah,
I have a different version of that. That's cool. Slightly different.
Later on, you'll get to see me have relations with Winter.
Yeah, I think there's a future title called "It's a Trap," and I think it's that one that he appears in. But this story here, Iceworld, Luke has his traditional trademark newspaper strip starship he's flying in with C-3PO. So it isn't his X-wing, but he's being chased by some TIE fighters here, and he's trying to make it back to the base on Yavin. He can't make it. He sees this comet that's flying through space as he's being chased by the TIE fighters. So he ends up flying so close to the comet that the TIE fighters actually stop pursuing him and think he just crashed into the comet. But really, he kind of got in its slipstream, and it's taken him away to who knows where, and he can't escape it. So like once he's behind the comet, he's just sort of stuck there until it crashes into something, and it ends up crashing into Hoth, and he's stuck there. He can tell like the temperature is way below zero. He gets his thermal gear out, and he tries to get C-3PO to help him contact the base to send help to rescue him. Unfortunately, his communications gear is destroyed, and he tries to go out on he sees somebody outside on a Tauntaun, or C-3PO does, and it's the daughter of this Imperial governor that's hiding out there, and they say they're hiding to escape the Empire, but really they end up being droids, like replica droids that were used by the Empire to stage an assassination or some terrorist attack, where they're
based on real people, and they're meant to be decoys
to be killed. But they think, I guess they think they're the real person. They think they're in danger by the Empire, and they just want to escape, and they're hiding out here on Hoth. And the daughter of the Imperial governor, Freja, I think her name is, she takes a liking to Luke, so she rescues him, brings him back. Her father isn't thrilled with the idea and thinks bringing Luke inside there is causing danger, that he's a rebel and the rebels are going to rescue him and the Empire is going to follow. And he says, we just need to kill him. But Freja wants Luke to contact the rebels to have them rescue him, or at least accompany her, because she's so lonely being on this planet by herself. She feels like she needs some companionship. So they end up splicing together between the two droids' communication devices and Luke's destroyed communication device. They end up fusing together with spare parts a working communications device capable of contacting Yavin, and that's how Luke finally escapes and theoretically lets him know that Hoth is suitable for a good hiding space for a new base in the future. But that's it. The Imperial governor shoots his daughter in the battle, and then Luke uses his lightsaber to cut down the Imperial governor. Turns out they're both droids, so they don't end up surviving. But that's the end of this one.
That's fine. I don't know too
Just
much to
fine.
say.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I don't really have anything special to say about it.
So
Yeah, there's
Luke leaves his desert home planet and twice nearly freezes to death.
The irony.
he does crash land here, so add that to your running tally of crash lands.
Luke and his crashes.
It
At least
wasn't
when
his
he
fault. The comet
was,
sort of did
yeah.
it for him, but it was his idea to fly into the comet. So
So there you go. So still counts. It's his idea. At least we'll stop with the Luke kissing his sister tally. At least
Yeah.
we're ended with that era now.
thankfully we're about the end of that. Yeah.
But it was pretty hot, all things considered.
It's up
Weren't we
there.
in like the double digits? I think we made it to no.
Well,
wanna
the crashes are probably
Double digits.
30 plus. Yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely in the double digits.
I'll just assume the kissing happened at least 10 times, even if it didn't, just because I think it's funny.
Mm.
So awkward Thanksgiving dinner at the Skywalker home.
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Al, do you have
Right,
anything to
this-
say about this one?
I don't mind this this story. It's okay. I'm more interested to compare this to Star Wars 3D in like however long it takes us to get to that. So
We were
I don't
talking before the stream about that one. I totally forgot that. I don't know if I even read that one. It's probably in one of the Wild Space omnibuses, but we'll
it's
cover
in
that
the first one. I looked at when we were talking before. As its own thing, it's fine. It's a fine sort of origin for them getting to Hoth, or them finding Hoth or whatever, and being like, oh, we'll put the base there, or whatever. But beyond that, it's okay. So
I like that we get an explanation. I mean, it happens a few times, but I do like because there's no need to. I like that they went, well, let's explain why they're in Hoth in episode 5.
yeah, I agree with that.
So I like that idea. So
Star Wars 3D issue 1 was December 1987.
So we have a ways to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's going to be when I have more things to say, because I want to be able to compare it to something. And for now, it's okay. It's not bad. It is a fun story to have in the continuity. It's Luke trying to survive. Yeah, it's good. It's all right.
And if we have stories that are similar, then it's just different people telling the same story a little bit differently.
It's completely
Yeah.
different. Han finds it instead.
Yeah. Well, that's because Han, that's what he tells his kids, because he's got to have all the cool adventures. He's got to one up Luke.
We'll settle this debate when we go to Star Wars 3D. But for now, that's all I have to say. Ooh.
The only two thoughts I had on this one are one, there's a point in time where 3PO's with Luke and he notices the Tauntaun on Hoth and he doesn't know what it is. I saw Star Wars Droids, the cartoon, the TV show, and there is one episode in the White Witch arc,
Right,
where he makes reference to Tauntauns on Hoth. So he knows what that is. He somehow forgot. I don't know what happened.
Memory wipe.
Time wipes. So.
Memory wipe.
Maybe a memory wipe.
I don't know why they memory wipe.
They did just crash.
That's true too.
That is
Circuits
true.
might be a little.
Did droids get concussions and lose?
I mean, you could
parts
have
of their
like
memory?
a bolt go like bing against something important. Mess you up a little bit. It's like a droid hangover.
Yeah, possibly. And the other thing I noticed is the strange behavior of the droids. So I guess they're
Ghostfish says perhaps he only knew about it academically, never seen one in person.
okay. I think he says they're in like the stall with the nerfs, and I think R2 is like doing some chores or something. He says, I would suspect you do the same for Tauntauns on Hoth or something. It sounds like he knows what he's talking about at that point. Anyway, the other thing about this particular comic was the strange behavior of the droids, the human replica droids. So the daughter of the Imperial governor has a romantic relationship with Luke, or has a romantic liking for Luke. I find that totally unprecedented as far as droids having feelings for humans that way. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Well, it's a human replica droid, so Has Blade Runner come out by now?
Has what come out?
Maybe.
Blade Runner?
This is
Mm.
this is 82, and Blade Runner
Yeah.
came out 82, so it would be around the same time.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to think of like, why don't we put Blade Runner in Star Wars with like, robots feeling, human emotions that deep.
Yeah.
I don't
And-
know.
And droids don't really die. Like when they get shot, they sort of like stop working. But
Yeah. I mean, unless you're
Freja,
dismantled and can't be
Freja
rebuilt.
when she gets shot by her father, she seems like to die very similar to a human. I found that a little bit strange, but those are my two notable
Mhm.
things to talk about.
It's
Robert, what
true.
about you?
Droids.
I think the closest thing we have is Guri and Shizor, which that's not a romantic thing. It's
Well,
purely
it may be something,
purely-
but it's not romantic.
purely physical and arguably not reciprocal.
Yeah. Probably not. Well, I mean, if she's a robot and she has orders to obey, I don't want to
Yeah.
get into that discussion, but
Yeah,
I don't think she ever had feelings. She kind of did what she was programmed to do,
Yeah.
but
which is
I don't.
creepy on Zizor's part that he would program her to do that.
She didn't have a will like Freja seems to have here, and even her father has like, oh no, we need to stay hidden from the Empire. It's this self-preservation thing, which I've never really seen droids have this way.
well, Guri had things that she wanted. She wanted
That's
to.
true.
I mean, we see that in Shadows of the Empire Evolution.
Yes, right. With Dash Rendar. Right?
Yeah.
Pop up. Yeah.
But there's this whole link of like, does she really have a brain, or does she really have like a will? Or is she a real person? I think therefore I am kind of thing.
Well, is
The question
is the difference between a droid like that we see with our C3PO and R2D2 and Guri, isn't she like based off of like a human, like an original person?
I don't think so. No, she's just a really expensive, really top of the line human replica droid like no one's ever seen before.
Well, this would be another case for why Star Wars really missed an opportunity to really explore the droids, because this pops up numerous times, not just in this era. This pops up through the 90s and early 2000s up until the EU stopped being a thing, which is droids seeming to have this will that just never gets addressed.
I think in Evolution, she meets her maker, like the designer, the mechanic that built her.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember, it's been a long time since I read it. It was meant he created her as in place of what his daughter would be had he had a daughter. I think something like that. Could be misremembering.
It's been a long time since I've read it.
Sounds familiar.
I think there's something like that in there.
Well,
but
it's the same.
Other than that,
Star Trek, but first similar thing happened with him, where he's got a program, but then there's more. He even talks to his creator, same as Guri does in an episode. So, this is the question.
That's about all I have.
There's going to be more to say on this once we get to 1997.
Yeah, I think for me, the droid stuff, I'm a hard sell with droids pretty much all the time. I'm like, so I'll probably join the debate when Robert says like when it's Guri and we have a little bit more to work with. But for this,
take us out, Alex.
No, I mean in 1997 we've got Shadow Stalker, and that gets more into the droids from this story.
We'll cover that when we get to it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed our 4-issue discussion. It's okay if you didn't, but you should love it because
it's pretty
awesome. But
that's all you get for the rest of this month, because we're jumping forward to the Lando Calrissian trilogy.
Hopefully there'll be an opportunity, but more than likely, we're going to see you boys, ladies, gentlemen, and others in August with Lando Book 1, Mind Harp of Sharu.
Mind Harp of Sharu and the Flame Wind of Osuan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So read ahead. That way you can follow along as we discuss it. You can share your thoughts as well in the comments. So
we'd like to see it.
Yeah. Well, so I have really, we'll discuss this off stream, but possibly near the end of July, if they're free and I'm free. I'm not positive on if I'll be free yet, but if something goes as planned as I plan on, then I may have a couple days off at the end of the month, which would be really close to August anyway. So
someone will be at the Star Wars Unlimited Galactic Championships in Vegas. So
okay.
I won't be available. It'll be minus Scott if it does happen. But
then August it is. Anyway, but yeah, so you got time to read, catch up. They're not very long books. They're like 100-something pages each of them. So you could do it in a day or two.
I think they put out audiobooks of them at some point too. Maybe
do you have audio? I think
there might be bootleg.
They're definitely bootlegs. They're definitely bootlegs. I've definitely seen those on YouTube. But
if you want to cheat and not really read.
Well, I'm not getting into that debate. Hey, as long as you are consuming the media, you are doing something more than most people do these days. So I will not begrudge you if you read it, if you listen to it. But reading it, you'll retain it better. Anyway, so
before we end, we've got 4 minutes, and then it'll be exactly an hour. Do you want to give passing thoughts on Devil Worlds as a whole, since these were the last 2 Devil World stories?
I suppose. I feel like we've said everything we could say.
Robert, since you suggested it, you start.
Yeah. Plus, you have the most connection to it since you're the voice of Supernatural Encounters. So,
to put it in simple terms, Alan Moore. I like the Alan Moore stories. I don't particularly care for the Steve Moore stories or the Steve Parkhouse story. As I've said before, I do have somewhat of an affection for this sort of shorter format of 5 to 8 pages, because I've read a lot of Hellboy and it's got plenty of those. There's a short story called Pancakes that's 2 pages. But yes, what would be my favorite? I think Telotny Throws a Shape might be my favorite, actually. That might be a weird pick, but what about you?
I think they're
all weird.
And ample reason for that in the video we discussed it.
I like the squid chess personally, but
the squid chess
they're all about the same for me.
It's this one or the squid chess for me. Mostly the imagery from this one. I like the story from the squid chess though. They're neat. I have well documented beef with Alan Moore, but that's for Batman reasons and not Star Wars reasons. But he's a good writer. I'm not
a fan of The Killing Joke.
We'll get into it some other day. We only got a few seconds left.
About The Killing Joke alone.
Listen, Alex. If you ever say, "Oh, I kind of want to read Batman," you and I are gonna have some discussions. So we're gonna have some fun.
Read The Killing Joke only if you're going to immediately follow it up with Oracle Year 1. Is
correct.
Yeah,
that is right. Anyway, I guess we will see all of you fine people. Die Ghostfish. We'll see you in a month with Lando Book 1. We're all looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time.
Indeed.
Finally, we get to read something that's not
Goofy Raw again. I missed that guy.
We get to see Goofy Raw. I like Goofy Raw.
Speaking of droids, there's another good one. So
he's very weird for a droid though. So that's
well. Listen, he's a unique little guy. Let him be. Okay.
But it'll be nice to get away from the Marvel newspaper dominance.
Just to get a little breather, a little takeaway from the comics for a bit, because it's been comics for like months now. So
I totally agree. I haven't read them in a long time, so I'll have a fresh perspective. I don't really remember my thoughts on them when I read them initially, so it'll be good to get.
I got decent
experience.
notes on these, so I think I'll be. I think
It's
I'll
gonna be a
have
fun
nice,
time.
nice comparison. But in any case, good seeing you,
Well
gentlemen.
then, guys, live long and prosper as always.
Alex,
See you
how
later.
close can you time this?
We're about to find out.
We're gonna
Well, it
end
always
it.
a couple seconds after, so we're gonna see